Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Just want to welcome you to our call today. It's going to be really exciting. We're looking at generative video. We'll be looking at, what to do with the art that you're making and that you've been learning to make over the last week. If you'd like to have this call transcribed into your language, all you need to do is navigate to the bottom of your Zoom screen to the tools and look for the section that says More with three dots. If you click on that, it will show you a menu which includes the words captions. So you can use captions to help you, and you can select a language there. And if you enable captions, it will show an AI translation of this call in your language. We'll try and speak slowly so that it translates well. And yeah, so that's what you can do to enable some translation for you in your heart language. We'll be doing this call in English, so yes, please enable captions using the menu under More if that's going to help you. Welcome, everyone. We're really excited that you can be with us. This is our third week of Zoom calls, and this is a repeat call from 12 hours ago. So welcome if you're joining us for the first time. We've had a few people join us at this time, and we'll be adding links in the discussion groups on WhatsApp and here in this call to remind you to go to the YouTube channel to catch up on tutorials. And if you want to see past Zoom calls, and you can also see exemplar videos that the team has been sharing there. So welcome. We've just got a few minutes while people are joining the call. I want to encourage you, if you'd like to have this call translated, we have a little AI tool under the More menu. So if you go to the bottom of your screen and you're looking for the three little dots, if you click on that, you're going to see a menu that shows the word captions. If you click on that, you can choose your translate language and enable captions, and you'll have captioning for the call. And this call is being recorded. So if you'd like to have, if you don't mind being seen and you don't mind your name being on the call, please keep your name on and your video open so we can see you. And if you need to change your name or have your video off, please do that as well. I'm going to change my name right now. At the moment, my name is showing Jane, and I'm going to change my name and add Australia because that's where I'm from. So please navigate to wherever you can see your tools for your screen, and just add your country there. I can see lots of people are doing that, but because I'm spotlighted, I can't do it right now. But I'll do it later when someone else is talking. So welcome, everyone. We're really excited to be able to share with you today next steps from creating something as a visual in the generative art that you've been learning over the last week and turning that into video. We're also going to be looking at a song tutorial as well. So it should be a really exciting call. I hope you're going to learn a lot. We had some great questions on the last call. So please do feel free to enable the chat. So you just want to open that to the side of your viewing screen, post questions there that relate to generative video or song making, and we'll give those to the panel so that we can answer them later this call. Please, yeah, restrict the questions here on the call to just the content we're doing today. And if you have questions about other AI tools, please put them in the WhatsApp chat where we've got discussion or collaboration going on. So if you're working in the collaboration group and you'd like to make something there and you need to know about tools, ask it there. And if you're asking a general question about AI tools, please put it in the discussion group. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. It's so good to see people joining the call. We're just going to give it one more minute before I hand over for prayer and devotional and a welcome. So just reminding you as you join, if you'd like to translate the call, if you'd like to have closed captions, just go to the menu at the bottom of the screen. There's a More menu, and if you click on that and select captions, you should be able to choose a language to have the call translated into. Thank you so much, everyone.
And images too. You can upload images.
Oh, Simon, thank you for reminding me. Because we're turning videos, generative images that we've made into videos, if you have a video, an image that's suitable to share on the chat, please do it early, because that way Simon can use it as a demonstration later. And then you can see that it's not one he prepared earlier. You can see him doing something in real time. So please use the chat. If you click down the bottom of your Zoom screen menu and open chat, if you want to share an image, just go down to the chat box where you'd normally type a message. And instead of typing, just look for the icon that looks like a piece of paper with the corner folded over. If you hover over that, it says file. Once you click on that, that will enable you to upload a file from your device. So please do share something there. And that's a great way to encourage one another. So at the moment, if I click on file and I'm going to my computer, I'm sure I can find an image that I've created in AI where we might want to invite Simon to do something with it. So I'm going to pick my favorite picture from the prodigal son that I was doing as research last time. And I can see Simon's uploading the building the plane while we're flying it image. And that's my father and son reconciliation picture that I've just put in the chat. So welcome everyone. I'm going to hand over to my next teammate so that we can keep this call rolling.
Well, I think that might be me. Thank you, Jane. Hi, everyone. Just to add my welcome, this is Alan in the UK, and I don't know about you, but I am learning so much on these AI calls and through the videos. So we're excited to have you here and really hopeful for all that this next 90 minutes or so will include for you. I just want to pause for a moment, and we're going to start with a little reflection from the Bible. Before we jump into that, I want you to think with me for a moment about where you are, and assuming you're at home, I know some of you might be out and about or on the move, but think for a moment, who makes up your family or your household? So who lives with you under your roof, or who do you class as those that you do life closely with? The Bible talks a lot about families and households, and several of us have been exploring this really rich theme for a little while now, and we've been really excited to see how God has been stirring us to think about how we can do more to equip families and households to enjoy the adventure of faith together, to look at how they can explore God's mission right where they are. And, you know, as we look in the Bible, so there's that beautiful picture in Deuteronomy 6 that invites us to love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, and strength, and to talk about these things with our children, to talk about them when we get up, when we walk along the road, just in the middle of everyday life. And I love Joshua's declaration in Joshua 24:15, where he talks about how as for him and his household, we will serve the Lord. This dedication that they make, not just a personal one, but one for their whole family. And we see families throughout the Bible, and often it's quite messy. Things go wrong, people make mistakes, but actually there's grace there as well. I love the picture in Acts 16 where the Philippian jailer responds to Paul, and he believes and follows Jesus, and his entire household is baptized. So there's a beautiful glimpse again of how families and households are woven into God's plan. When Jesus was talking in the Sermon on the Mount, he gave a command to all of us as his followers to be the light of the world. He said, "You are the light of the world. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." So I wonder, what does that look like for us? How can we do that more? How can we live in such a way that our lives are a light that points to Jesus? Well, we've been looking to see how we can help families think that through a little bit more. And just as we get into this next call, some of the team have created a great little fun AI poem that captures that for us. So why don't we allow this to speak to us just as we get going today?
Are you a football family, camping family, fitness, fishing, chess? Is it music? Is it cooking? Are you neat or in a mess? Is your household into puzzles or history or the stars? Do you dance or skate or mountain climb? Are you really into cars? Every household is a lighthouse that shines out what you do. What is it that is so unique, those things that make you you? You might be empty nesters or a family of 6. You might be living with your friends, adoptive, a blend, a mix. Your family maybe goes to church. We're super glad you do. What about the other days? Is Jesus shining through? It's not about perfection, not even being good, just being salt and sharing light around your neighborhood. The good thing is we're not alone. We have a dad in heaven, from whom each family gets its name, you 2, you 4, or 7. No matter if you're into craft or games or planting beans or golf or surf or magic tricks or building big machines, find simple ways of shining light, your family's special vision. Is today the day to set your course? A family on mission.
Thank you. Brett, over to you.
Thanks, Alan. I absolutely love that video. I love the sense that there is a genuine calling for unity in the midst of creativity. And that's why I'm going to pray over us today. Heavenly Father, we're just so grateful that we get to draw together under this unrelenting banner of love. And that as you, the ultimate creator, Lord, begin to speak through each and every one of our lenses, each and every one of our life experiences, Lord, show us the prismatic reality of who you are, the uniqueness, the specialty that drives each and every one of us. I'm grateful for this team. I'm grateful that through AI, we have the ability to tap into something new and different for the whole world. Bless this time, bless our learning, and the questions that need to be asked. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Right,
Now,
we're gonna.
James, are you going to
Yeah,
jump
we're
in?
gonna.
Excellent.
I am. I'm going to jump right in. We're going to take a quick look at the results of the poll that we did last week. We had about 100 people respond to that, and I'll just skip through some of these pages. I think it's really interesting. We've got in this first question was I think probably one of the most important ones, one of the most telling ones about how people are engaging with what we're covering here and how applicable they are finding it. But since starting the academy, have you done something for your ministry using ChatGPT? And we've got about 70% of people saying that yes, they have, which is really, really encouraging. You'll have seen on the YouTube channel or on the Max 7 AI Academy page that links through to there that we've got a number of videos up now with tutorials and examples and demonstrations of what we're doing. And again, we've got a really good number of people saying that even that they've watched all of the videos. We've got about a third of people saying they've watched all of them, which is really encouraging. And then this was interesting because we're trying to do a few different ways of learning. We recognize that some people learn through watching something being demonstrated live and they can interact. Some people learn more effectively through watching something that's pre-recorded that they can slow down and pause. Some people find it easier to engage with a guide that is written and so on. So we asked the question about what method of learning people prefer, and we've got quite a strong leaning here actually towards the live demonstrations, which is obviously what we're doing on this call. And I love the live demonstrations. I particularly love them because things go wrong. And having created a couple of tutorial videos myself, I know how easy it is to edit out those mistakes. And actually, I think we do learn even more when we see something go wrong. And it's particularly enjoyable when it happens to Si because, you know, he's so good at what he does. And I just love seeing him have to think creatively about how to get past this issue that he's come across. So we'll look forward to that later in the call. How effective are you finding the online experience to be? Well, this was very encouraging. We've got over half of everyone saying it's amazing and I'm learning a lot. And plenty of people saying that it's working. Obviously, maybe learning at a slightly slower pace. And we're very aware of the barrier that some people are having to overcome with engaging with this content that we're delivering in English. And I feel so privileged that is my language, my first language, and I know that makes life very easy for me. So we're very, very grateful, very appreciative, and acutely aware of how much effort it takes for those of you for whom English is not your first language. So we want to encourage you in that. I could go through more slides. Shall I keep going for a minute? Maybe I'll keep going for a minute.
Yeah.
So what AI skills do you most need for your ministry in the next 3 months? This one was interesting. There was quite a good split here. The one that gets the most support is video, music, and animation training. So we've got over half of people saying that. About 15% saying more generative art training. Quite a small number saying more chatbot training, more training in how to use AI in a ministry setting. I found this question particularly interesting because obviously it gives us a very simple choice about choosing this option or this option or this option. In reality, and as we'll see in a few minutes' time when Si starts demonstrating about how we work with AI video, actually what we learned through chatbot training and generative art training is super, super useful and builds some of those foundations that allow us to be more effective in doing AI video. So where are we now? Oh, then we had some suggestions. So, well, this is. I mean, there's a lot of encouragement here, which is very, very encouraging to read. And we're very grateful for everybody. There's some good challenges here. Everyone in the academy needs to practice more and more. That comment is absolutely spot on. You know, that the more you practice, the more mistakes you make, the easier it will become. So, you know, we do encourage people to persevere and keep sharing. I think, you know, we've got a really good supportive group in WhatsApp, and as people are posting content, and particularly if you post content, we do encourage you to post the prompt that you used as well. So don't just post the picture or the video or the song. Post the prompt with it, and that will help people to kind of see how other people are working and what is working for them. I think at this point I'm handing over to Si.
Thank you, James. It is very encouraging, isn't it? I'm just going to replace your share with my share, and we are halfway. In fact, we've just passed halfway through the academy, which is pretty exciting. 5 weeks, in some ways, is a long time. In other ways, it's a very short time to try and cover all the different aspects of AI. And of course, we're not covering every aspect of AI, but we're trying to cover some of those that are most useful in ministry, as well as in creating resources and creating things that you might use in a children's, youth, family, church setting. So that's what we're focused on. You can see here we're at week 3. And so it's good that the poll said that we need to do more AI video and AI music, because that's exactly what we're doing on this call. Next week is an exciting week because we're going to look at AI animation, which is actually still just AI video, but looking at characters and some of the things that you can do now. It's a very fast developing area, changing so rapidly. And if you've watched my AI video tutorial, you'll see I got a bit thrown this week because I went back and looked at things that I've been using almost every week for weeks. And then the AI Academy started. And in those 2 weeks where we're looking at chatbots and generative art, the AI video world changed dramatically. So amazing how fast it's going. And then here on the right-hand side, we did look a bit at AI in ministry. We're continuing to think about that, AI in the Bible. And then we're starting to also dig a bit deeper into human creativity and asking good questions. And we'll do a little bit of that on the call, as well as I'm about to upload a few more videos in the Boost Your Creativity series that will get you thinking as well. So let's... Oh, hang on a sec. Something's gone wrong with my camera. Hang on a sec. I seem to have frozen. Just wait a second. I've just got to get this working. Oh. All right, it's okay. I'm back. I'm better. Sorry, a little bit of fun AI there. My bad. So we're going to look at AI. That was a joke. We're going to look at AI video and how you can do it. And the tutorial takes you right through it. I'm just going to touch on a few things that were shown in the AI tutorial, but also demonstrate in front of you what is possible and using some of the images that you've shared today. So let me just go back to my screen. And what we looked at in the tutorial, I didn't do this on the previous call, but I'll just touch on it very quickly, is that AI video is not one thing. There's many different types of AI video. So there's different ways to do it. Things like you can just type a prompt, a text prompt, and it turns it into video or an image, different ways of converting, and then a whole lot of other different types of AI video. And there are even ones at the moment where you can ask it to, you can give it a basic idea. Oops, hang on, my bad. Basic idea of a story, and it'll help write the story, do the storyboard, and create the images. Now, it's pretty early stages, and I haven't found it work that well, but it's amazing what people are playing with. And so you've got different examples that I show in the tutorial of text to video, where you just type some words and then suddenly you have a video. And at the moment, AI video doesn't do this that well, especially if you're doing something a little bit unusual or creative. So what we're going to demonstrate is this second one, which is image to video, which is where you put in an image that you've created in AI, or you could even put in a photograph if you like. And you also then add a short prompt. And then what it does is it animates, it brings that still image to life and turns the image into a video. And that tends to work a little bit better. You can do video to video, and you can see I've demonstrated Galina and turning her into an anime character. That was pretty fun. And then also there's various other ways of doing videos, like the infinite zoom. There's a thing called Kaiba, which does very artistic sort of videos. And then you've got avatars, so where we do characters that we'll think about a little bit more next week. And you can do that with completely with AI, or you can also do it.
Welcome to the AI video tutorial.
It
We've come
scans
to a
your
very
face.
exciting part of the AI Academy.
So they're the different possibilities. I'm now going to demonstrate this a little bit more. So let me just get to my the right screen here. And we're going to look at how this works. So if you've seen the tutorial, you will have seen some of these different examples. This is Luma Dream Machine, which came out in the middle of the year. And in fact, those Lego videos that I shared, particularly the Families on Mission, were done within about 2 weeks of this going live in the world, this Luma Dream Machine. And it still gets very good ratings against all the different types. And there's lots of them out there. Things like Runway, Minimax, there's lots, Picker Art, and there's more coming all the time. But I like Luma because it's so simple. You can see here it looks a little bit like ChatGPT. It's just got a prompt box, and you don't have to do very much. You just can type in a prompt and it'll give you a video. So what we're going to demonstrate, and I just practiced before the call here, some of the ones that you have shared, and I'll show you how it's done. I won't show you that. So I'm going to do an image to video. So let's go and have a look at some of the images that you've shared. I'm going to start with this one, which is, let me just make that a little bit bigger. This is the image of the African group celebrating. And in this case, it's a portrait, which means that it's sort of like the way that you might look at a phone versus landscape, which is done sideways. So it will work, portrait. It's a little bit harder to show on a screen. And what it's going to do is use that image. So I don't have to give it much of a prompt, because I don't have to exactly tell it what it is, because I've already put the image in. But what I want to do is just simply describe what's happening. So I can just say people dancing. And I don't even have to describe what people, because that's already in the image. And I actually find Luma works better with slightly smaller prompts. The longer the prompt, the less it believes me, and it just ignores most of the prompt. So keep it fairly simple and succinct, and you tend to get a better result. Then I can also give it a camera instruction. So I'm going to say camera pull out. So Luma now has this, you can see up the top, camera motion built in. So it gives you a lot of different camera instructions. So I can use that, or I can just describe what I want the camera to do, and it also still works. So hopefully the people will dance and the camera will pull backwards and we'll see more of the scene, which will be interesting because it's a big crowd. And I'm going to leave enhance prompt. So what that does is Luma might add some things to it, but that's okay. I'll just see what happens. So let's go in and see what's going to happen with our people dancing. And while we're waiting for that, Luma allows you to do about 5 free videos a day. And I think it's 20 or 30 per month. So it means that you can actually have a play with this without spending any money. But this was another one that somebody put in, and I did a pull out here and I said car driving. Now you can see it didn't pick up that that was a car, and it's added some sort of other car in the frame. So it doesn't always do it perfectly. But if you look at the image and you go, wow, it's creating this whole scene around the house and the farm and adding grass, because that wasn't in the original image. So it can do quite remarkable things. Likewise, if I have a look at the boat that was put in here, and we have a look at that, I put in a very simple prompt of just a big ship sailing through the ocean. And so it's put in mountains in the background. You can see here the water is moving very slowly, like it would be if the camera was that high. And then it's given me a very interesting look of the ship. And if I like that shot, Luma gives me just 5 seconds of the video, but I can do up to 20 seconds by clicking the extend. So I'm going to do that because I quite like that shot. And I'm just going to do what I normally do, which is just say, continue, keep going, love it. And I click the go button and let that render. Well, we have a look at our African celebration. So I just have to wait a few seconds while it uploads the image. And let's go back to the other one that we were making. So do you remember this shot was people dancing and the camera pulling out? So here we go. It ignored my camera instruction, which it sometimes does. So it's obviously decided it's too complicated to create another crowd. It's not perfect animation. The people, it's still getting better and better. And because this is not a photograph, it's more of an illustration sort of style. It's blurred some of the things, but you get the idea. It's not too bad, and I could play around with that. So certain images will do better in AI video than other images. Here's our one now, which is, yes, James.
Sorry, can I just ask, if you've got a video like that where it doesn't follow your instruction for the camera to pull out, do you just try again with it with a slightly different instruction to try and get that to happen, or does that mean that that image is unlikely to be able to generate a pull out sequence?
No, I just keep trying. So let's demonstrate that. I'll take exactly the same prompt. What I sometimes do is that I'm going to, let me get the same image. Let's try it all over again. And I'll turn off the enhance and see if that makes a difference. So camera pull out. So if I turn off the enhance, it will sort of take my prompt a little bit more seriously, but my experience is that it still may or may not do it. But I often have to try a scene 3, 4, 5, 6 times before I get what I'm looking for. And I'll show you in a minute the Lego video. And in some cases, I had to do some of those scenes a lot of times to get exactly what I was asking for. So yeah, be aware, AI video is the newer part of AI. So this is what generative art was like a couple of years ago when it came out. It gave really strange results at the beginning, and then it got better and better and better. So AI video is only sort of 6 months old, and so it's still learning. And the more that people use it, the better it gets. So here we go. All right, actually it did the dancing better. And I think that's a more usable shot, but it still ignored my camera. So yeah, it may or may not do it, but let me have a look at some of the other ones I did here, where I didn't give it any instructions here. Oh no, I know what I did here. I put in 2 images. So I'll come back to that one where I put the first image and then I put the second image. And what it did is it transitions between those 2 shots. So that's another thing you can do. But this one, I said camera orbit. So this is another camera instruction. It's hard to show a portrait video. So this is where the camera orbits, which means it goes around the central character. And you see it did do that. Although what often happens is that the face will start to change. So that's one of the other problems with AI video. But the other thing is when you're creating a video, you have a look at it and say, well, actually, the first 2 seconds of that video might work. So I'm going to download that video and I'm just going to use the first 2 seconds, because often when you're doing a video clip or a story, you're not going to show 5 seconds of video. You're going to cut a little bit quicker than that. So I often look at it and say, could I use it, or will it work backwards? So there's many shots that I've done where I've done I've looked at it. Let me see if I can find an example. Like this one. So this was one that was shared on the Zoom call last night, was this boy and I put it in man looking and the camera move up. So you can see that it followed my instruction, but actually, if I was using that in a video, I would probably reverse the image in my video software, because I probably want to end on the child's face, not have the child's face disappearing. So I would use that video, but in reverse. So I'm also looking for that. Let me show you though, while we're here, the Lego video, I've got the same shot here and I tried different camera movements. So this is flying into, it's doing a drone shot across the crowd. So that was quite nice, that sort of shot. Or I could do Lego man talking, camera zoom in. I want to zoom in on his face. And that's quite a nice shot. And like any filmmaking, you are trying to work out what's going to tell your story the best. So here I'm doing the camera orbit again, so that the camera is going around my character. Or I might say pull out. So I might be trying to reveal a much bigger shot. So it didn't have any problem building a bigger crowd with this shot. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Or I could say camera move left, where I'm going to move from one shot to another shot. This was Jesus on a surfboard, which was shared in the discussion group, and some of the other shots that people have shared and different ways of making it work. Let me show you this one, because I shared this, I think, in the AI tutorial, but there's something interesting because I said woman walking with a lion. Somebody made this shot and I really struggled to get the woman to walk and the lion to walk. So I had to keep trying it. And I eventually did get it to work, but something interesting happened when I did. So where is it? Yeah, okay, this one. So I got the lion walking and I got the woman walking. But do you notice something about the woman? She's got lion feet. So what I did is I looked at that and thought, okay, I don't really want to show the lion feet of the woman. So if you look at the video tutorial and you see this shot, I actually then in my video program zoomed in so that by the time her feet appear, it's not in the shot. So I used my creativity to say, how do I make this work? So when you're doing AI video, you need to apply quite a lot of creativity in your storytelling and in how you make the video work in your program. So that's just a very quick summary of how to get AI video to work. I want to now, any quick questions on that have come up before I move on to then a little bit of creative thinking, which also applies to AI video?
Yeah, thanks, Si. There haven't been any questions in the chat box just at the moment. And I think actually the questions from last night that were about video, you've already addressed. So one of them was, you know, my video only lasts for a couple of seconds. How do you make it longer? But you did give some more information about why short videos are useful. So perhaps if I just re-ask that question for you, which really is, I can only make my video last a couple of seconds. Can you tell me how to make it longer with AI?
Yeah, so to make it longer, you use the extend, and in Luma, you can get it up to a 20-second shot, which is pretty amazing. But having made many videos, I don't often use a 20-second shot. So if you have a look at any of those Lego videos or the Jesus making leaders or the history of the sport movement, some of those examples, you'll see how I've used very short shots. And that's very typical in a video today. You don't want to use long shots. The other thing is Luma doesn't do lip sync very well. There are other programs that do, or Luma doesn't do it at all. So what I did is that I understood that limitation And if you go back and look at that race of life, it's a whole story, but it's actually told through a voiceover. And Fraser, who's actually on our call, did a fabulous voiceover for me. And I then created the images. I didn't have to get any character to talk. So that's another trick to say, how do I use the limitations of AI to achieve what I'm trying to accomplish? Next week, we'll talk about some ways that you can get characters to talk, but it also takes a lot longer. So you want to decide what type of video am I making, and then use the AI that's going to help you achieve the purpose. So if I'm doing a music clip, then I might just have lots of different images of different types of things. If I'm doing a memory verse, for example, of a Bible story, I might just want to have images of that Bible story done in different styles. And so AI video is great at that. If I'm trying to create a talking head video or a video that's lots of dialogue between two people, I might be better off just doing that with real people, or maybe an avatar, an animated video that we talk about next week might work. But choose the media that suits the message and the style that you're trying to make. And I was a professional puppeteer for a lot of years, and we always had the principle, get puppets. So I'm talking hand puppets here, made of cloth. And we had the principle, get puppets to do what puppets can do well. Don't get a puppet to do what a human does better. And I think AI has that same principle. Don't get AI to do something that a human can do better. If I'm trying to deliver a heartfelt sermon, it's going to be better done by a human with a human face giving all the emotion. If I'm trying to create images of a Bible story from the 1st century in a big scene in Galilee, I don't have the budget to build a set. I can get AI to do it for me. So use AI for what AI can do really well. So let's move on. I'm going to show you a few things that just very quickly.
Okay, and we do have a couple of questions. So if you get another gap, there's a couple more questions now, Si.
Okay, brilliant. Well, let me cover this now, because this is a principle of creative thinking, and you'll see some Boost Your Creativity videos start to go up about this. The first one is about 3 different ways that you can think in your creative process. And the first has a technical term of divergent thinking, which means going out in different directions. So the first is just come up with lots of ideas. And in a process of thinking, you want to have a time where you're just coming up with so many different ideas. It could be with a chatbot. It could be with generative art. It could be with AI video. It could be with AI music, where you say, I'm going to try a lot of different things and just see what happens. It's an exploration. You don't have to come up with the first image of a story, and that's the only one you have to go with. With generative art, what I love is I can create 10 different images and then have a little think about it and play with it. If I was doing it with a paintbrush, I would really struggle to quickly make 10 different images. But with Gen Art, I can do 10 different. Or I can ask my chatbot, give me 100 different ways I could play this game. Or give me 20 different possibilities of a 1-minute game that I can do with a bucket. And it'll instantly give me 10 ideas that I can play with. And then I could say, give me 10 more, give me 10 more. So divergent thinking is great with AI. And in the divergent thinking part of the process, you don't judge, don't worry whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. You're just trying to come up with lots of ideas so that you've got something to play with. Then you move on to emergent thinking, which is that you've got a lot of ideas now. Let's play with them. Let's maybe connect 2 ideas together. If I'm thinking about that passage that Roy gave in his devotion, which we were looking at in the collaboration group, where God said to Jesus, "You are my son, whom I love. With you I am well pleased." If I'm trying to create an image of Jesus and John and the river and the dove and the crowd, I could just come up with the obvious answer of a wide scene, and you've got Jesus and John, a dove above, and a lot of people came up with that sort of image. What you need to do is to say, okay, that's one way of doing it. Let's play with it. What would it look like if I did that scene, but from the point of view of the dove looking down? What would that look like? Or what if I looked at that scene from the point of view of a 10-year-old boy that is looking at the scene? Or what would it look like if I was super close up on John's eye looking at that scene? So these are all photographic ways I could look at it. Or I could say, I'm going to play with the idea, what if the entire scene was made out of ink splots? So splots of ink of different colors, and the whole scene was just done with like ink thrown at a piece of paper. What would that give me? Or paint, or cut out pieces of paper. Or what if the whole scene was painted by a 4-year-old child with some pencils? So suddenly I can play with the idea, and that's emergent thinking. And I'll come up with a whole lot of different ideas that I never thought of if I play with the ideas. And then finally, once I've got all of these possibilities, then I go to the convergent thinking, which is the point where I look at all of my ideas and I say, which one am I going to use? So if I'm sharing it with the discussion group, I might have 30 different ideas. Which one will I share? And I would love it if you shared the one that was most unusual, the one that was most surprising, the one that was most different to what other people had done. So that's convergent thinking, where you do a little bit of thinking about which one should I share. Or if I'm making a video and I've done 5 different attempts at a shot, which one's going to be the best one to use? That's convergent thinking. So I'll stop there before I go then to Jesus. So are there any questions then you want me to, any of us need?
Yeah, there are some questions. First question is, what video tools do you use to further work on the AI video that you're making, like zooming in or reversing? Like, how do you reverse a video, and what do you do to crop? Because that was really helpful, seeing what you were doing to like get rid of feet that aren't right, or yeah.
Yeah. So I do use a paid for editing tool called Premiere Pro by Adobe. But I do know that things like iMovie would give you a lot of these tools. CapCut, I think, is the Windows sort of free version. I've forgotten what some of the other free ones are at the moment. But most video editing programs will give you the ability to zoom in. But be aware that if you are creating a landscape video, so like this Zoom screen is, then start with a generative art image that's landscape. And we shared with you that a chat bot, you say to it, give me this image and make it landscape, and it will make a landscape. You don't have to do it square. And every AI generative art program at the moment will give you that ability. So think about what it is you're making. If you are making a video that's going to be like a short and it's a portrait, then that's okay. Make them all portrait. But try and make your initial image the same shape that you want your video to be, and that'll help you. But in terms of zooming in or cutting the image short, every video editing software will do that. We could give some suggestions of that on the discussion group if you like.
That'd be great. The next question is, how many AI apps can we use during our creative, when we're creating something?
That's a great question. Look, there are so many out there, and a lot of them allow you to do a few things for free. So my answer to that is learn how to use 3 or 4 of them, and then you'll end up getting 4 times as many free options. So the more that you learn, what we have done in the AI Academy is show you probably the simplest one each time just to get you started, but they all follow the same principles of a prompt. And then beyond that, they'll have a few different options. So if you are just a little bit courageous, look at what it says and say, which one's the prompt one? And then have a look around it, and it'll give you a few other ideas. And most of them will have a little thing there that says like prompt guide or other ideas or whatever. Have a look at that, and that will be their instructions of how to use their app. So every time I look at a new app, I might have to spend 10 minutes, 20 minutes just kind of looking at it. And then also there are so many tutorials on YouTube. So if you find an app like HeyGen and you say, I don't know how to use it, and the AI Academy didn't give me a tutorial, just put into YouTube, how do I use HeyGen? And somebody will have done a tutorial about HeyGen. You just describe in YouTube what you're looking for, and you will find a tutorial on every single AI app. And I can tell you, I'm on YouTube every single day, either trying to remember how to use an app I haven't used for a few weeks or looking at a new app. And in fact, 10 minutes before the call last night, I found a new generative art program called Recraft, which is brilliant. And it gives me 40 free images, and it's incredibly powerful. And in fact, I can show you, I made something in those 10 minutes on a new app I'd never used before. And I've got some, in fact, all of those images I've just shown you were done on that app, on Recraft, just before the call. So yeah, learn how to use them all, and then you have lots more free options.
So one of the things that I learned from you when you're talking like this, Si, is that you are very curious about what's out there, and you go and try things and experiment, and you're not afraid to just see what happens. Is that right? It just sounds like you're encouraging people to have a look. And I know some people are quite frightened of what might show up in their AI generation. Can you speak to that? Like, what's it been like just putting yourself out there and experimenting? Has it been a safe space?
Yeah, let me say you do need to be a little bit careful. I would let you know that as I've looked at AI apps, thankfully I haven't seen any pornography if I'm careful and I look at proper apps. So I haven't stumbled upon pornographic images, and certainly right now, sadly, in some of the apps, it is possible to create pornography, and that's one of the big problems with young people and fake images and all of that. So we need to be aware of it. What I would encourage you to do is when you do a search, get a bit of a sense, even from a Google search, is this something that a lot of people are using? And you can even ask Google, or even ask your chat bot, tell me about this app, and just see what comes up. But also the ones that we've shared in the AI Academy are ones that we've used so that we know that they're relatively safe. But the one that I created, that very fun image of me exploding at the beginning, was one called PicaArt, which I've used in the past. In fact, one of the Family on Mission, I think that Family on Mission video was done on Pika, P-I-K-A, last year. When I went on to it again, they had a whole lot of Halloween images and things that were not nice, in terms of what you could imagine people share about Halloween. So I have to be aware. Okay. So actually I decided not to show that in the tutorial, because I felt like some people would be offended by that, or be upset by that. But the ones that we're showing you won't let you create pornography, for example, and the generative art ones we've shown you won't let you either. But be aware, it's out there. So like every Google search you do, is going to be a risk. So I can't say we can protect you. So be very, very careful when you're doing this with children. When we did some generative art with some young people recently in an outreach, I used the Microsoft Image Designer because I found that to be very safe. It seems to block anything that it's a bit worried about. And so we had an adult overseeing every single computer screen just to be certain, but no bad images came up. But I wouldn't do that probably with some of the other generative art programs. So just be wise.
Yeah, thanks.
And
That's
you're
so
in ministry.
helpful.
You know what this is like. You know what young people are facing right now. And that's the same in the AI world.
Mm. Last question. What do you know about the videos that you've made in terms of ownership? Who owns a video that you've made, for example, with a free tool?
Some of the free tools say you can't use it for commercial purposes. My understanding of that means that you can't sell it, but you can use it in most instances and share it freely on YouTube. But technically, at the moment, you own, James, you can speak into this, but my understanding is in most cases, if you create something with AI, you are allowed use it and you're allowed share it. But each one has slightly different rules, but certainly I'm not selling any of these videos. So I can quite freely create the whole thing and share it freely. I think if you are creating a commercial product that you are selling, then you need to look a little bit more carefully at the rules. I looked at the Lego rules, for example, before I did those Lego videos. And the Lego agreement is that you can freely show Lego bricks, you can create Lego films, as long as you don't put the name Lego and the brand and the trademark and logo of Lego and on your video, it's quite okay to make a AI video using Lego blocks that looks like Lego, and that's completely within the rules of Lego. So I have looked at those sort of things. James, you want to add to that?
Yeah, just to say, I would definitely encourage people to look at the specific terms and conditions of any tool, because that they will be different. Almost inevitably, if you're using a free plan, you won't have any commercial rights at all. So some of the tools, if you're on a paid plan, they do give some kind of commercial rights, but again, it depends on what you're creating. Trademarks, particularly with North American companies, are vigorously defended. So as I said, you know, whilst you can create videos that might feature how something looks, you have to be very careful about how you refer to it. Or so you need to avoid using anything that that shows online or in print as having a copyright symbol or a TM symbol. If it's got any of that, I would suggest you just avoid it. And if in doubt, don't. You know, there's plenty that you can do without putting yourself at risk there. So,
and we'll talk next week when we do characters. We would recommend you never create a real person who's alive today. Like if you're doing a historical character, it's probably okay, but I wouldn't ever suggest that you create a famous sports person or a politician or a celebrity and then animate them and put them into your program. That's probably stepping over the line. Even if in your country it's not illegal, it's certainly not going to be helpful anywhere else. And already now, something like Runway won't let you put a face of a famous person in. But I would say ethics says just don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not fair. So anything that someone else owns, we always work on the premise that, well, we need to respect their ownership. So that's another principle that I think is just a good ethical principle in everything. Max 7 was set up allow you to take anything and use it for that very reason, because we wanted things to be freed sharely. shared freely. But if something is copyright and it belongs to somebody, then you have to respect that. So, yeah, that's important.
That's a great answer. And certainly when we're talking about building characters, there's something so much that's so fun about creating our own character. Like our academy has a character that we've been choosing a name for example. And a lot of people on the last call, Simon, were asking where he is and what his name really is. I don't know whether you noticed that in the questions, and I didn't feed those questions to you because they came at the end of the call. But creating our own character for our church group or our teens group is actually far more fun, and it becomes iconic to that small group rather than feeling the need that we have to follow with pop culture. We can actually make our own pop culture in our own communities, and that's fun and enjoyable. And then you're not stuck worrying about copyright and trademarks. You can actually be a lot more playful and build a personality that's unique to your team.
Yeah. So let me share the next bit. The robot was talking too much this week and it really annoyed me, so I turned him off. But we'll bring him back next week. Have a look at this, because I want us to also just have a quick look at Jesus' creativity, because we're talking about AI and we're talking about human creativity, but we need to remember that God displays so much creativity in the Bible, and not just at the beginning in creation. All through the Old Testament, all through the New Testament, you'll see how God the Father and Jesus and the Spirit display incredible creativity, and also in how they communicate. If you have a look throughout the Old Testament, you'll see that God communicates differently in every culture. He communicates differently in Egypt, in the Promised Land, in Babylon. He chooses different techniques and different ways of communicating. I want you in 30 seconds. I'm going to stop talking, and in 30 seconds on a piece of paper, or you can write it in the chat, type it in the chat, what are all the objects that Jesus used in his teaching? So he told lots of parables, and in each case, he used a different object, a different word picture. So 30 seconds, let's see how many we can come up with in the chat box. We've got clay, bread, gate, coin, fish, dirt, sheep. Yeah, nice. Keep going. This is divergent thinking, just trying to come up with as many as we possibly can. Bread, boat, net. Yeah. All right, there's lots there. Let's have a look at the screen. This is done with that app called Recraft that I mentioned, done just a few minutes before the previous call. Unfortunately, it didn't put a head on this sheep. And this doesn't cover all of them, but there were seeds, there were wine, there was a lamp. The cross itself is another symbol, wheat, weeds, grapes. All of these different things are different ways that Jesus taught. Isn't it amazing how many different things that Jesus used in his teaching? So it just gives us a bit of confidence that it's okay to try lots of different ideas. What about this one? Where did Jesus teach? So did he just stand in the synagogue and that's the only place he spoke? He sat there and he was at the pulpit, which they probably didn't have, but that's all he did. He turned up on a Sunday, he stood at the pulpit, and that's where all the teaching took place. Where did Jesus teach? All right, we've got at a wedding, at a well, on a ship, at a boat, in people's homes, on a hill, on a mountain, on the water, walking on the water. Yeah, all of those different things. Incredible. Let's have a look. And this is not all of them. And I really like Recraft because it can actually spell words correctly, which is fantastic for AI. But you can see, even in this tiny snapshot, that Jesus taught in so many different places. And in each instance, he not only used the appropriate image and story for the time. He also used the right location. So on a boat, using experiential learning, he calmed a storm. So the disciples didn't just hear about Jesus' power, they experienced it. And it wouldn't have worked if he did that in a synagogue. He had to do it on the water. He did the feeding of the 5,000 in a big open place where there were more than 5,000 people. So the location was also very important. So again, when we're thinking of our different thinking processes of divergent thinking, emergent thinking, and convergent thinking, realize that Jesus was the master at it. Every single time he talks to somebody and teaches, he uses a different technique, a different idea, a different question, and a different possibility. So if you want to learn about creativity, just have a look at Jesus and enjoy those stories in the Gospels of how Jesus taught. Now, before we run out of time, we need to jump onto AI music, which is really mind-blowing. And I've got the AI tutorial up, but I just want to demonstrate live how extraordinary AI music is, and as a really fun tool to play with. So I'm going to use Suno, which is one of the tools, and there's others out there, but it's quite a powerful one. And it does allow you to do, I think, 10 free songs a day, so you can have a bit of a play with this. So once you've signed into it, then you just simply hit create. And I've just got to find my prompts again. Just give me a moment. And first up, when you hit create, you can get Suno to do absolutely everything. So let's say I've got a prompt like, I want a song, and my prompt is this: a fun song about meeting on Zoom with people from around the world, learning about AI, making images, videos, music, and games using AI. Oh, actually, I'm going to add something. I'm going to add to this prompt. I'm going to add also a reminder not to use AI to write your sermon or love letter. Oh, I've run out of write sermon or love letter. Ah, that didn't work. There's a limited number of words or love letter. Okay, so this is going to be, and then I just hit create. It's going to write the lyrics, create the music and the style, and I just hit create. And in a few seconds, you're going to find our whole song about our meeting here on Zoom. And it's chosen a title, Zooming Through the World on AI. And if I click on that, we can see the words of it. And let's listen to our Zoom song.
Different lands, learning how machines begin, creative minds and typing hands.
All right. Not a great song, but it did everything for me, which is quite remarkable. I'll do just one more. And in this instance, I'm going to ask it to write a joyful song about Psalm 96 and singing a new song to the Lord. So I'll create that and see how it goes at creating a song about Psalm 96. It's called Sing a New Song. It's chosen a style, and the style is pop, uplifting. Let's see how it goes writing a song about Psalm 96.
A new dawn with grace and light, hearts awaken when morning's bright, joyful echoes fill the air we breathe, a song of thanks for all we receive. Mountains rise like a praise on high. Fields and seas join the anthem's cry.
All right, you get the idea. I won't play the whole song. I can share that in the playlist. Every time it makes a song, it actually creates two. So let's just see what this one's like. And then I'll show you a better way to create songs. This is where it does the work.
A new dawn whispers grace and light. Hearts awake.
All right. So that's the simple way of doing the song, but I would encourage you not to do that. It's sort of amazing what AI can do. But when you go to Suno, you're better off then clicking this button up the top that says custom. And what that does is it then lets you have control over what you're doing. So I'm now going to create a song, and I'm just going to, I've written this song already. So in fact, I got ChatGPT to play with ideas. I ended up rewriting bits of it. And so I'm going to just use 4 lines here. Dearly loved, chosen, pleasing and set apart. In Jesus, we find our home, found in the Father's heart. And this is based on Roy's devotion of Jesus being baptized. And then I can then choose a style. So I don't know how this is going to go, but Latin, action, dance music, fun, and whimsical. So I've just described what I'm looking for here. And then all I have to do, I'm going to give it a title. I call it Loved. I've got Loved and Dancing because I've made it a dancing song. And then we'll hit create. So this is my lyrics, my style, and my title. And let's see how it goes. And it's going to allow me to start to get a little bit closer to what I'm looking for. And we'll see if it's any better. So it's a very short song here. It'll probably, okay, yes, it's made a 2 minute and 36. So it's just going to keep repeating. But let's see what it sounds like.
Chosen, pleasing and set apart. In Jesus we find our home, found in the Father's heart.
All right, so I got a bit of a style out of that. That kind of worked. I'll just see what the other one sounds like. We'll just see if it's different sound.
Dearly loved, chosen, pleasing and set apart. In Jesus we find our home, found in the Father's heart.
All right, and like any other AI, I can just keep trying. So I go, okay, I don't like that style. That doesn't really work. I'm going to go for a fast, a world beat. So this is energetic world beat action song. You can just make up the prompt and describe what you're looking for. When we give you the manual, we'll give you a whole lot of ideas. But here I've got energetic, fast and fun. And this one is just, you don't have to do this, but 178 BPM, which is beats per minute, which means it should be pretty fast. I'll just call this Loved and Fast, just so that I remember what I was making. And I hit create. And let's see if this sounds any different. And you see it's incredibly fast to create a whole song. And okay, yeah, a bit more energy here.
Dearly loved, chosen, pleasing and set apart. In Jesus.
All right, not bad. But what about if I want to go with something just, I demonstrated this on the tutorial, but having lived in Dubai and loving Middle Eastern sounds, I've chosen a Middle Eastern magical desert song with zither and oud, Loved in the Desert. And that'll be a whole different sort of sound, I hope. Let's try. And you can play with all sorts of things, of different local styles. You can also mix styles together where you try completely different sorts of things. Let's give this. Look at that. That's great. I love that. We'll get to the lyrics eventually, I'm sure. But you can see that it's a completely different sound. And I've created a playlist of all the different songs from all the different videos, and I shared it in the group. So I'll add these as well. Let me add one more where I've got this, the same lyrics every time, but I'm just trialing different styles. What about an epic orchestral choral music? So a choir music. Loved choir. And let's see what that does, because you can do some quite big sounds. You could do it like the four tenors. You could do it like some massive production.
Dearly loved, chosen, pleasing and set apart.
Well, it's not that grand, but it's a different sound. Let's see if the other one sounds any different. Well, it's certainly given me the orchestra. It hasn't given me a choir. But you get the idea of what's possible, and you can try anything you like. I'm going to change the lyrics to something back to our fun idea. And instead of using...
While you're doing that, just a reminder that the manual has a whole lot of sound prompts like chorale or motet, or so if you're looking for, or a cappella, or, so if choir doesn't work, you can try some other prompts as well. And there's a whole lot that's been put together in the manual as well. So I'm just saying that to other people's side, because I know you'll try something new as well.
Yeah, that's great. So here we go. I'm going to go back to some funny lyrics and again, I've created these words, funny singer-songwriter using a ukulele. So you can also put in different instruments that you want to feature. And like any other AI, it might listen to me, it might not, but let's see. And this will be the last one, but I do encourage you to go and have a look at the AI music, and I'll walk through this a little bit slower and you can see exactly how to do it. It doesn't have a ukulele. See if this one does. That one does.
Chatbots and Gen are sparking bright. Zoom calls and WhatsApp through the night. Creativity for Jesus prompts the key. People around the world in the AI Academy.
All right, so I don't think it did do a ukulele that time, but so you just got to realize AI will sometimes follow you precisely and sometimes just ignore you, but you just keep trying and have a bit of fun with it. And again, use that divergent thinking, have a play. I think it gives us the opportunity to create some amazing memory verse songs or worship songs, but in styles that we've never heard of before. And I think that could be really interesting to see what's possible, so that we're not just making things the same way. There might be amazing possibilities. And be aware that you can also, in Suno, once you've created the song, you can split it. So you can create the instrumental, it's called a stem. So you can create the instrumental and the words separately. So that's the other thing that you can do. And next week, when we're talking about characters, you'll need to do that if you want to animate a character singing like that rap boy in the video. I had to get just the voice track separate, otherwise the AI would animate all the music as well on his lips. So it would have been very odd. I had to just get the voice track. So that's AI music. So we've now got about 10 minutes, a bit over 10 minutes left. Any questions on any of that? And I know that's taken a little bit longer to demonstrate, but hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, I think so. So we've got two questions about songs. The first one is that people are using AI to create songs, but at some points you can't understand the singer. It's not very clear. They're just asking, does Suno have the same problem? Do you ever feel like you can't understand the voice? Are all songs okay on Suno, or is this a paid and free kind of issue?
No, the free gives you the same results as the paid. It just, you can only do a limited number with the paid. It mostly, yeah, sometimes the voice will be easy to understand, sometimes it won't, but that's the beauty of it. You can play with it. Some languages will do better than others. I have done Suno in a few other languages and it worked fine. But not all languages will be as developed, and that's the same with any voices. English obviously is used a lot, so there's a lot more voices available. Most major languages I think will work fine, and then once you get to smaller languages, then it may or may not work. But you need to put the text in that language and the title in that language, and then it tends to sing it in that language, but I can't guarantee it will always work. But you'll see that Murad tested the Arabic song and he shared that in the group if you can find it. So that's an Arabic version. And feel free, if you make some songs in other languages, please share them because they would be lovely to hear. But see if you can find some really unusual styles. I think that's part of the fun of it. Just play with it. You don't have to use it in church this week. You can just play with the ideas and see whether something is useful for a video or a memory verse or even as a worship song. Who knows?
Our last question from the group, this is actually coming on the WhatsApp discussion, and that is a question around they're creating Spanish biblical songs and they feel like the AI tools that they're using are really helping them create songs that don't exist in their language, that these kind of like, let's mobilize the church kind of songs. But their question is, what AI app, and I think the answer is it's not one app, but what AI app can I use to create lyric videos of the songs with moving backgrounds that we can use at local churches or in conferences? So they're wanting to know, can I use it to create lyric? Oh, it's the lyric videos. It's not creating lyrics. So maybe it is one.
Well, Suno actually does allow you to, once you've made the song, you can download. Let me show you.
Thanks, so.
That would be good. Sorry, give me a second. So let's go to one of our songs. Let's go to our Middle Eastern song here. If I click on this 3 buttons here, I can download the song, and you'll see here I can download audio or I can download video. So I'm just going to download the video and I'll save it in my Zoom calls so I can find it again. And it's called Loved in the Desert. And then when I open that, you'll see, just give me a moment. Oops. Can you see that?
No, we can't see it, Si. I think you need to reshare.
You can't see that. Okay, let me just stop sharing and then I'll share I have to reshare the video.
Great questions, everyone.
So here, this is what it downloaded. And what it does, it's not fantastic, but this is one thing that you can do where I go find where the words start. There we go.
In Jesus we find our home, found in the Father's heart.
So it does that sort of video. The new Suno app on your phone does also create videos and video clips. And there are other apps that can help you with some of those different things. What I tend to do, so if you have a look on the AI examples, there's Philippians 3:14, I think, a memory verse I did for my kids at church. What I did is I created the song in Suno, I created the images in Luma, and then I edited it together to create the video clip with the words. So I pieced it together. But increasingly there will be AI that does it all for you. So we can have a look and see if we can find some examples of it. What I tend to find is when you're trying to do words exactly at the right time, that's not so easy. So you get like the Suno where it will do it, but then without moving pictures, or you get the moving pictures and then the words won't be quite right. So it's still, I think, a developing area.
Yeah, and last question that we have is it's kind of a double barrel one, and it's about copyright and handling other people's copyright songs. So if you use AI to translate a song that's copyrighted, I believe, because it says translate a song with copyright, will that be okay? In church, some songs we used were prohibited on Facebook Live, for example. I feel like we're not really the forum to answer that very complex legal question.
I can
Thanks.
answer it.
Oh, thanks, James. Thanks for jumping in. I'm aware of what happens with Hillsong in Australia, but I can't help anywhere else.
Yeah, no, I used to work in music publishing actually, and I had a whole department that used to work in this area, and it is very complex. Basically, any music that has been recorded by somebody is likely to have performance rights attached to it. So even if you put translated words alongside that, it will be contravening the performance rights, the copyright, unless you've taken out a church license for that. And sites like Facebook and YouTube, they have algorithms which can automatically spot that copyrighted content. So yes, don't repurpose music that has been performed by somebody else.
Now, interestingly, because now I've done so many Suno songs and I've uploaded many of them now to YouTube, it's never found any copyright problem with them, which is interesting because that's one of the gray areas, is something like Suno breaking copyright, and they're currently being sued, and like everyone else is. And so it's an area that's a little bit gray, but interestingly, YouTube doesn't find any copyright problem with the songs. So I think, like other areas of AI, the AI has learnt from existing things like a musician would do. So if I'm learning piano, I'm going to listen to every other piano player and learn their skills, and then I'll create something. AI does the same thing. So it comes down to whether in the end the law finds that that's wrong, because it hasn't been wrong for humans. I can learn from other people's art and always have been able to. So at some point, some of these lawsuits might decide whether that is a problem or isn't a problem. But at the moment, the algorithm doesn't find any copyright problem with music, which is interesting.
Yeah. So if you record your own, like if you record yourself playing piano or playing guitar of Amazing Grace, or no, that's a bad example actually, because that's probably out of copyright anyway. But if you record your own music version of it, then that's fine. The grey area with a tool like Suno is that it is creating new content. You know, it isn't a carbon copy. It isn't a direct copy of a Hillsong version of a particular song, but it will be influenced by that, and that's what's currently kind of up for debate in terms of how those companies are viewing their copyright, because obviously that's how they make their money. They hold these performance rights and they license those out to people, so they're keen to protect it. And Suno and other companies like it are learning how to reproduce music by scanning that content and absorbing how that works.
So I think with all of this, it's sort of holding it with open hands, and also just being aware as it develops as to what is appropriate and what isn't. The other thing is that you can't put in a an artist, so I can't say create this in the style of Hillsong. It won't let me. It won't let me put in any musician. I can upload songs as a reference, but I can't upload songs that belong to other people. And then also, amazingly, just in the last few weeks or this week, the Suno put out an app, and I can hum a new tune into it, just a few notes, and then it'll create a song, a fully recorded song on the basis of my singing, which in my case is not very good. But that's pretty
awesome.
amazing. You need to have it. Somebody who can actually sing needs to try that and demonstrate it, but it's mind-boggling. In fact, you can even upload a photo and say, write a song about this photo, and it will create a song about that photo or that video. So there's a lot of things developing in Suno and other things that are pretty hilarious to play with.
So I hope, Kanina, that what Simon just said answered your question. Can I record a song direct in Suno? Sounds like you need to get the app and do some humming or singing and see what you can collaborate with Suno on.
But what you can do, I just show that I won't demonstrate it, but I'll just show it so you can see it, is in Suno, up the top here is upload audio. So this is where you can upload a song that you've made and put it in, and that will then use that as reference. So you can do it on the website as well. And so if you've made a song, or if you want to just kind of, if you can play piano and just put in a few notes, it doesn't have to be a fully recorded song. It will just use it as reference. So that's actually really a good thing to do. Because I'm not really a musician, I don't do that. But if you are, have a play with it and let us know how it goes.
Sorry, I'm just checking for other questions.
So I think
we're
we are coming to the end, and we want to pray at the end. And I realize I haven't been able to bring Brett in. Brett, anything that you want to add as you've been watching this, things that you think might be helpful?
Simon, I think that you've really nailed everything in regards to even the idea of like asking better questions. You've taken it from layer to layer to layer, and I'm just loving this. This has been so good. So
that's great. Oh, thank you, Brett. So please, the other thing I forgot to mention, I think, earlier on somewhere along the line, is that our week 5, which is not next week, but the week after, we've designed that to be fairly blank so that you can share what you're learning, as well as it'll give us a bit more time to answer questions or to go into areas where you want just a little bit more detail, whatever. But what we would encourage you is, if you're able to make something and share it, week 5 will be sort of our showcase week, both sharing on the YouTube channel, in the Zoom call, as well as on the WhatsApp groups. So please, it could be a story of what you've done and how AI has helped you in some way, or it's given you something that you didn't have before. It could be a video production. It could be a new song, something that you like and that you want to share with others. That's going to be week 5. So I'm just giving you warning. Please think about something that you might want to share, because we want to celebrate everybody's creativity. And we know that the creativity around the world, your perspective is so different to mine, and I want to learn from you, and we all want to learn from each other. So please see what you or your team could put together for that 5th week. And I think that'll be an amazing celebration. So thanks, everyone. Over to you, Jane, and then I think we're going to pray and end.
fantastic. I think, yeah, I think there aren't any more questions to ask. And I think, was Brett going to pray for us at the end? So I'm really happy to hand over to you, Brett. There's no more questions to track down. Thanks, everyone. Remember that it does take a while to process a Zoom call before we can actually put it up online for you. So if you'd like to see any of the Zoom call again so that you can rewatch the tutorials, just give us a few hours to get that sorted out, and we'll have it up in the YouTube channel just as soon as we can. Over to you, Brett. Thank
And
you.
then after Brett's finished, if you want to hang around, I know we will have gone to time. I'll play the memory verse song that I've just uploaded to YouTube called Run the Race. So that's made in Suno, and the video's made in Luma and then edited together into a song for our kids at church. So thanks, Brett.
So good. Heavenly Father, we're just so grateful that, again, as we've just been gathered here, I would love to be able to say that we've gathered at the foot of the cross. We're gathered at the feet of Jesus himself, and we're watching you unfold in new and creative ways throughout the world, through each and every one of us. Lord, as we move from this time in this place, enhance our creativity, enhance the questions that we're asking as we continue to seek how to bring you into our communities, into our spaces, families, and relationships. Lord, bless everyone that's been on this call and the first call between now and the next week as we just continue to evolve in our relationships. Lord, we're so grateful to learn and develop in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Thank you, Brett. So have a look at this video. I use the exact text of the Bible, the NIV version. And that's a fun way of using Suno, is to just take a psalm and put it straight in. Don't even write lyrics, and it can do it pretty amazingly. So the first part of this is a bit of an action song, and then the memory verse that we used at church with our kids. Enjoy it.
Let us run, run, run. We can jump, we can roll, do a kick, take a hit, have a skate, make a throw. I'm on to the goal so I can win the prize of being called to heaven. This is the prize that God offers because of what Christ Jesus has done. Philippians 3:14.
Thanks, everybody. God bless. And we will see you next week.